Trump's peace plan for Ukraine was sort of leaked from his camp. That is what the Telegraph put out earlier today. And I want to go over what his plan is and how I think Europe would react. Because we do know that Trump is going to try to make this war end, but he won't do it in a way that would benefit Ukraine. He'd do it more or less in a way that would benefit Russia, but also punish Ukraine at the same time. Because let's remember, Russia never wanted Ukraine to join NATO, which, funny enough, more countries actually border Russia now who has NATO membership because of what they did in Ukraine. And he also wanted Ukrainian land. And if you look at what Donald Trump is proposing, at least from his camp, Russia gets two things they wanted, and Ukraine loses land. So let's break it down. First and foremost, Donald Trump is expected to have a meeting with Zelensky in the near future. That is what Zelensky's team said. And Russia, just an hour ago, said that they're open to hearing Donald Trump's proposal on ending the war. So there are probably about 3 or 4 different plans that Trump's team is working on to eventually get to that point. And I'm assuming a lot of it has to depend on whether or not Trump actually wants to listen to Zelensky and agree with his original peace plan, in which he did present to Trump back in September. Whether or not Trump agreed with that or not, it's hard to know. And in some of the things that he mentions here, there's maybe only one point that maybe matches up to what Zelensky wants. So now this information is coming from the Telegram, and they mentioned unnamed Trump staffers. They actually say it's 3 Trump staffers. In it, it says that Trump would call for a ceasefire and that the current exact front line would become a buffer zone. Now, remember that front line is going through everywhere from Kherson to Zaporizhia all the way up, even through Kursk. So the first question would be, would that front line also be inside of Russia? Would that buffer line be there? In that little buffer zone, there wouldn't be Ukrainian soldiers there. This is a big ask for Trump. He's saying that while the United States would give weapons to Ukraine to protect themselves and be a deterrent for Russia continuing, there would need to be troops in that buffer zone, which would be staffed by European and British soldiers. A couple thousands of them, since the front line, if you're in the United States, would stretch from like Chicago all the way to New Jersey. It's a massive front line. So already there, pausing the war, the front line would become a buffer zone, and then staffing that buffer zone with European and British soldiers. And you're probably saying, well, what about U.S. soldiers? No. According to this statement here, it says, we'll do training and other support, but the barrel of the gun is going to be European. They then continue by saying, we're not sending American men and women to uphold peace in Ukraine. We're not paying for it. Get the Poles, the Germans, the British, and the French to do it. So now you've got Trump sort of demanding Europe, like, yo, this is now your problem. You deal with it. I don't think they're going to be okay with that, since who's going to pay for that? Ukraine doesn't have the money to pay for that. Europe doesn't have the money to pay for that. To me, if the United States doesn't want to pay for it, the only way that they would have been able to pay for it is with the windfall from that frozen Russian money, which we don't even know. If Donald Trump releases sanctions, then that windfall money would be completely gone. So there is no way to fund that. And then the big take on this, and that would be, after all of that, Ukraine would not be able to join NATO for at least 20 years. So, to recap, no U.S. troops. The front line would become a buffer zone, meaning that Russia would get that other territory, which is exactly what they wanted. No NATO for 20 years, which is exactly what Putin wanted and what Russia wanted. Ukraine wouldn't get any money to help rebuild itself. Ukraine would only get some weapons to deter Russia from moving forward. And then Europe would be stuck footing the bill and sending troops essentially into a World War III scenario in which now the entire border is European. But all of this doesn't make sense. And it comes at a weird time because Zelensky, when he asked for his victory plan, said in the beginning, Ukrainian people voted. They want their land back. So off the bat, Zelensky is going to say no to that. And then he said we need a clear path to NATO. To say that you can hold off for 20 years, will NATO even be around in 20 years? We don't know. Like, that doesn't seem like an honest, like, hey, we will help you. Or here, we'll sign this now and you're guaranteed in 5 years if the war's over. That's what Zelensky was looking for. It's like the only thing in that plan that would even be even close to what Zelensky wanted would be, let's just say, deterrent weapons, which, I mean, Zelensky won Tomahawks. We don't even know if they would even get that. So where does that leave us? This is only like one of maybe 5 plans they have floating around. Would it work? I don't think Putin would say yes to this, and I don't think Zelensky would say to this. The question we should be asking ourselves is, why was this leaked? Why did this come out now? What is it that makes this different than another plan? Why would someone in Trump's team want this information out there? Is it that they don't like this? Or maybe are they just testing the waters? Are they trying to see what the reaction is going to be? Because, I mean, let's be honest. If people move forward with this, we tried this. We tried this in 2014 with Crimea. It didn't work under Obama. Funny enough, Trump's team is actually putting together something that the Democrats put together in 2014, which was, we're going to let Russia keep this. We'll put a little buffer zone over here, and that's that. And Russia don't do that. And they did it again. So historically speaking, this won't work. The only other major difference would be is that, okay, you're putting European soldiers in there, but now you got to build bases. You got to build infrastructure. You have to be able to keep those guys safe and keep the Russians out. You're talking about millions and billions that the United States isn't going to pay for, that Ukraine can't afford, and Europe doesn't have the money for. So automatically, this plan does not work. And I think maybe, I don't know why they would even put this out there. Maybe to show people that they really don't have a plan. Or maybe it's showing that they're willing to do some kind of plan. But like, once again, we have, Russia's deputy foreign minister saying here that, they are willing to listen to what Trump has to say. But I need to remind everyone one final thing. The United States doesn't decide what happens here. It's Ukraine. Ukraine is the one who's going to decide whether or not a plan's a good plan or not. It's their country. They want to be free. They don't want their land stolen from them. And so looking at this, I don't see Zelensky saying okay to it. And I don't even see Putin saying okay to this. And the scary question that's still on the table is what happens to the sanctions? Because if you lift those sanctions, Russia ain't going to stop. Whether it be 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever years, they're going to come for the rest of Ukraine and other countries. Because, once again, we tried it in 2014, and it did not work. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comment section below. I don't really like this plan, and interested to see what's going to happen with the other plans. Anyway, I'm Joey. Be sure you're following us on all of our channels, whether it be on YT, on TikTok, on Twitter, and on what am I missing? On Facebook, Instagram, all that jazz. Anyway, stay safe. Once again, let me know what you think in the comment section below.